Welcome to Reviews from the Back Row. I'm Michael Morris. With me, my co-host, who was supposed to be the host but is making me host, Nathan Schoner. Nathan, how are you?
I'm still the host. I just wanted you to open up.
Oh, so this is like driving Miss Daisy. I open the back door, you get in, and I drive you everywhere?
You're finally getting it.
Yeah, you look like an old lady. And my daughter, Mia Morris. Mia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Listen, so the last time we did a show, we were talking about Aquaman 2, the quest for write-off. But then we went completely down the other path to criticize Marvel movies, what hasn't been working. What I wanted to talk about is what has been working. What are examples? I always say this whenever I do a movie review, whenever I'm talking to somebody about movies or any of that. I don't like to lead with negative things. Are there things wrong with movies? Yes. But I thought to get an opinion from other people that we should be talking about what works and what doesn't work. Because I feel like this is like politics. You're on one side or the other. That can't always be the case. So I'm going to start with this. Mia, tell me what works about Wonka.
I really liked the movie. It surpassed my expectations. But what works about it is I think the colors, the setting, and the fact that the songs, it is a musical, but it's not like the whole point of the movie. The whole point of the movie is to tell you a story about how Wonka gets his chocolate factory. And it does that. But it also incorporates some singing, which is what Wonka is, I feel like, especially with the Johnny Depp one. So I think it did its job. And I wasn't expecting Timothée Chalamet to do that well, but he did.
Let me say this. I don't like musicals at all. Now, I could say there are ones I like Chicago.
Never seen it.
Well, Chicago is, I think, 1997 or something. I can't remember what year it came out.
I wasn't born.
Richard Gere and two other ladies. But the point being is that I don't like that format of set pieces, meaning they are things that if you saw them in a play, like if you went to see the play Oklahoma, the curtain has to close so they can change the set and then music plays over it while they change the set and then they come out in different clothes like it's a different day or a different area. When I see something that's a set piece, but you use music or singing to transition to it, that's all it reminds me of is this song is only here because in a theater with actors on stage, that's how they would move from one thing to another. What I thought was impressive about Wonka is that the songs actually don't transition you to different plot points. They transition you to wherever he's going. Like as he's walking, doing this song, it gets you somewhere he's supposed to be to start the next conversation or the next action versus being a button at the end of a scene where it's, day goes into night or vice versa. You feel like you're in this world and the world is not that big that where he's at. It really, if you think about it, he's in a town, but that town only seems to have 3 streets. So you should feel claustrophobic about what you're watching where it's like, he's not moving, but everyone is moving freely throughout this town. And that's what makes it feel like it's a lived in environment.
Right. And I think the plot was really good too. Like I was not expecting all of the levels that it was working on, but it did that.
And I think it's also a movie that it has a very old school feel to it. It's not being weaponized by what I want to say.
Woke culture.
Well, there's got to be another term for it, but that is what it is. There's not this ESG thing. Now, there are things in there that are checking boxes that movie studios have to follow, but it doesn't knock you down, right? Like it's not so in your face. Because I'm going to flip it to something. Before I move on, is there anything that doesn't work in it?
No, not really.
I think it's kind of flawless, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay?
I agree.
And that Timothée Chalamet kid.
Did not know he could sing like that.
He's a very talented actor. He was in Dune, Dune. Yep. And he was in some other shit no one's seen. Very good. Excellent. But here's where it's about to get fun. So we're going to say that is a thumbs up all the way around. Everything works.
Yes.
Aquaman Deuce. What works?
They have a very family orientated thing going on. I like that it's the brothers. I like that he has a kid, even though the kid isn't really
And
in
he actually
it.
has a wife.
He has a
unusual.
wife, quote unquote.
And a mom.
Yes.
You
She's
don't
not
see-
really in it
Yeah,
that much. But she's there.
Let me ask you this, and this may be or may not be a spoiler. Does she ever sit on a bed?
Which one? His wife or
Who
his
is
mom?
she?
Oh, I'm
Nicole
sorry.
Kidman.
Amber Heard's character. Does she ever sit on a bed in the movie?
I think she does. She's like folding clothes on a bed
No.
at one point.
No, she doesn't sit on a bed, nor
Why?
does she straddle a bed.
That's what, you know what? That's why I was
What?
wondering.
Amber Heard is known for, let's just say, leaving sweet cheeses in the bed that she's consumed and shat upon Johnny Depp's bed.
Oh,
That's true. Which when you brought that up, what made me laugh
I hate
about
that I
it,
didn't get there originally,
what made
and
me
now
laugh
I
about
would
it
like
is
to
I was
leave.
thinking about, did she ever lay down? And she did not. Jason Momoa laid down with the baby in several scenes.
Actually, she laid down in the hospital scene.
Yeah, but that's
She
different.
was like, I think they were like weighing the options with whether to.
Can
like,
you imagine if you were the guy running Warner Brothers and you're like, guys, do we have any scenes where she's near a bed? We got like 30. Edit that out. Yeah, but Ben Affleck's in
She's
the scene.
like-
Cut that shit out of there right
I
now.
just thought it would be funny if like she had like sat up and walked away, and then there's just like a little bit of like dookie or something.
Yeah. She's
Callback.
She's like
She's just, like,
folding
wafting her
things on a
ass.
bed.
So Amber Heard is not in the it worked category.
No, she would be in the it didn't work.
I did
category.
like the fact that it did seem like a family unit was involved throughout the film.
I like the brother thing.
Actually the two of them together were good
Yeah.
together. Does anything else work in that?
I think they had.
About it, huh?
I think they were trying something with the villain. I think it worked on a level, but it didn't work with Manta.
Right. No, that's okay. Listen, you're saying that's what doesn't. That's what
I'm
you're
saying it does work because that's what the story's about. Like I didn't get it why it was called the Lost Kingdom, and then they got to the part where the Lost Kingdom was unlost.
When they lost it, but then they unloosed it. I'm gonna go to Nate on the next one, but I have to say this part. Here's what doesn't work for me. In Aquaman, he's bros the whole time long. It's basically Jason Momoa hanging out, and every once in a while he dresses up in a costume. The rest of it is just him doing it. I thought Patrick Wilson was good. Their interaction was good. I liked that there were certain things about it that they interjected that were to be funny. And for me, it worked, but it wasn't funny like, oh my God, that's hilarious. It was like, huh, look at that. What doesn't work for me in this is the message. Did you say Buzz?
Bugs.
Bugs. No.
That was funny.
That was another thing they stole. The island of Dr. Moreau. And there's another one where what's it called? What's the old story about Gulliver's Travels? Is that where they go to the island and the bugs and birds are real big and the people are small? They stole from that too. But the climate change thing, the whole thing is about this fuel that fuels these submarines that are eons old, but they will destroy the atmosphere and all this stuff.
Well, it kind of makes sense. It makes sense a little bit because they got to melt the ice to find the Lost Kingdom.
Well, you're giving it away.
Nuh-uh. It's in the trailer.
That's not in the trailer.
Yes, it is.
I just want to point out they used a Game of Thrones actor as a person that doesn't have any lines. Like his lines are dubbed over, but he's in there. So I'm thinking that guy had a lot more to do, and they go, "Hey, we got to wrap this up." So the ending's going to be,
Yeah.
But they literally can't stop saying it's destroying the climate, destroying the ocean.
They say it like every scene.
This fuel is destroying. And you're like, got it. I get it. Okay, great. I want to move on to something that could be controversial. Nate, Rebel Moon. The Moon of Rebels, Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
What works? This is where you have to put like insert footage here.
Yeah, insert footage here. No, I'm trying to, because I don't want to like really spoil anything, because it's really the epitome of world builder. A lot of the critiques are saying that it's slow, it doesn't make sense, or
it's not a good story. The acting is bad. That's what a lot of people were saying.
Exactly. That's what a lot of people are saying. No, that it's slow. The biggest thing that I've seen in some, because I just did a quick flip through of what some of the early critiques were. And again, I'm the same thing. I don't really care what the actual critics say. I always go to the users who actually see the film, that, you know, it's not like you're getting paid to review something. And it does have a pretty lower score right now. I think last I checked, it was like at a 6 something.
It's at 6?
Yeah.
Out of what? 100?
Out of 100.
No. The
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Sorry, because when it first came out, the
critics have it like at a 30 out of 100.
Okay, then it's rising, because the first reviews that came out, I think there was out of like 16 to 20 or something, had it at 29. But I think those people hate Zack Snyder.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, and I don't really, I take critics reviews with a grain of salt. But the user reviews is what I really look at. And that's what a lot of it's saying right now is who's at least posted it anyway. That it's slow, and you know, they don't really get to anything, is what they're saying. And how I see it is it very like upbeat, like type of, I mean, we've talked about it on the show before on pacing. It is a slower pacing film. But it also is one, it says in the title, it's a part 1. So Rebel Moon, whatever, some part 1. From interviews from Zack Snyder and everything we heard, that he is trying to build this out, like he's had this story. I think originally it was supposed to be like a Star Wars story.
It was a Star Wars pitch that he had, and it got rejected because I think the point was he wouldn't need the Jedi and all that. You could have this kind of outlying galaxy that no one had touched, like the Empire and all that. Yep. And it was more like this would occur because it would give you a chance to build something that's not rinse and repeat. Death Star, Jedi, Sith, blah, 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 which there's nothing wrong with it. I think he had a different take on it.
Yeah, different take, different approach. So
well, anyway, it's kind of like a Boba Fett situation, right? What would happen if Boba Fett survived?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he went ahead, and after pitched that didn't go anywhere, he ended up creating this new IP. And I can see from a filmmaker perspective what he's trying to do. I think that this film will, once some of the others come out, I think a lot of people who don't, your normies, your normal people, will, going back to rewatch it, might say that it's better, because if
the film is better,
that the film will be better. That's my guess. My guess is he's trying to build up to whatever his plan is. I'm sure he's got something planned out. And there's a lot of introduction. You have to introduce the main character. You have to introduce these other characters. You have to introduce the lore and what's going on. So there's a handful of scenes where she's kind of explaining some backstory to another person. You've got to do that to really kind of push the story forward. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked it. You know, I want to kind of go back. I really like the vastness of it. There's a lot of open kind of scenes. Like, you can tell a lot of money was put into it. So the graphics are
that's a Netflix exclude. Like, Netflix paid for all of it.
Yeah, I don't know if they might have.
Well, what I mean is they own it, so that's not going to go to a movie theater.
Correct. Well, yeah, I mean, they may, like most Netflix, they'll do like a small limited to try to get into award season.
Well, what I mean is, well, I get that, but I'm saying, like, there's 3 of them planned, so the next one's supposed to be April of 2024, I think March or April. So if he releases all 3, first of all, could you imagine how crazy that would be to have a trilogy come out within, say, a 15-month period?
That would.
I don't know that that's ever been done.
When they did the original Lord of the Ring, it wasn't 50. No, because they shot
I'm saying
all three of them
all
together.
basically in a calendar year.
Yeah,
I know you could film it
true.
all in the same time, but typically you don't do that because you want to have a gap so that you build up that anticipation for the next one.
that's true. Yeah.
What doesn't work about it?
I think that's probably like in the same token. I think it because it is the paceness of it is a little bit slower. So I think some people that are looking at it just as one film, not looking at the overall what he's trying to put together. I think that could be right now a downside of it is because it is it is a slower paced film. So
interesting. That's the one that of all the movies that have come out, let's just say in the last 30 to 45 days. Now, because I didn't go to theaters, it's a little different, but that seems to be the one that has the most stink on it from critics.
Yeah.
Whereas I think there was a review embargo on Aquaman. But like Napoleon got torn apart. So
talk about Napoleon.
Well, listen, to me, Napoleon here, the trailer makes it look much different than what the movie is, in my opinion. It is more about his relationship with Josephine and what kind of person she is. And it almost seems like, I don't know how you take a figure that was known for war and that type of thing and make him almost a sympathetic figure. I think it's also hard because you have Joaquin Phoenix. You don't have an actor you hate playing that role, but it doesn't really cover what a great military strategist he was, except for a couple of times. It's really more about his relationship with her, and I think that kind of takes away from what this should be. I think what works in it is Vanessa Kirby is fantastic as an actress. Joaquin Phoenix, fantastic. Just the amount of people they have on these battlefields. Like it's the way movies would have been made in the 40s and the 50s. Like find me 1,500 people to stand in this area. You know what I mean? You do feel like you're watching history. You just feel like you're watching somebody in high school sometimes passing love notes to their girlfriend. And then a battle's going to begin. And that's where you just kind of go, I don't know why this doesn't go further. Now, there is a 4-hour and 2-minute cut that's coming to Apple at some point that is supposed to be the real film. And if that's the case, bro, either put it in the cinema or let me know that I don't need to go to the cinema so I can see the real thing, because that's supposed to be the one that has more of the wartime battles and all that.
Interesting.
But again, if Ridley Scott makes a movie and if it's his home movies from Christmas time, I will go see it because he's put out so many things that you go, God, that's great. I enjoy the hell out of it. But critics seem to be bashing more of the stuff that he's been doing lately. And I think he's been very cantankerous with when he's being asked questions in these press junkets. He just seems to not give a shit anymore what they think. So, of course, they're going to turn around and give him a bad review. I don't think that I'm trying to think. What was the other one? What was the one with Matt Damon and Adam Driver? And I thought that was really, now it wasn't a fun subject matter, but it was a very he said, she said type thing. The Last Duel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hard to take your kid to that one, not knowing what's going on, because I wasn't even really sure they were going to show you what they were arguing about. So that was fun.
Thanks, Dad.
Was that fun for you?
Thank you.
Great. I never covered her eyes.
Therapy bill starts to add up.
Well, I was trying to, so now I never read the notes where it's like parental, so now I definitely am like reading ahead.
I was going to say, you might want to start doing that.
So, because when we went to see Oppenheimer, it was like, we couldn't wait. We couldn't wait to see that.
We did a Barbenheimer.
Yeah, we did do the Barbenheimer.
There you go.
What a day. But what happened was we saw Barbie first, and I thought that was more of a letdown because I thought it was going to be funny, like a Wayne's World style. And it was women crying about how much they're not appreciated or some shit. I don't know.
As a woman, it was offensive.
Yeah. I just kidding, by the way. I listened to a woman once. Anyway,
Once.
that movie was just okay. But every woman wanted to hear themselves on screen bitching and blah, blah, blah. Great. So when we see Oppenheimer, I'm not as quick on the reaction there. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait, I read. It doesn't say at this time. It just says when this happens. And I was like, reaching.
I beat him
eyes.
to it.
Yeah. But there were a couple of instances, and it was really kind of a strange thing because only at one part of that, of what they're talking about, does that need to be in there. But otherwise, that's a fantastic film. In Napoleon, it literally is like, well, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to take Turkey. And then boom, the next thing they're in their bedroom. And I'm like, what kind of jumbled mess is this? Like, give me a warning. That's what doesn't work for me as a parent. I don't want to have to keep reaching over to cover eyes. How about that? But Napoleon, so let's see. Sorry.
No comment.
Let's move on.
Well, listen. Yeah, it's all. I didn't realize that you're still sitting here.
Let's move on to Wish. Let's move on
What
to Wish.
a terrible
I
film.
wish I hadn't seen that.
Okay.
What works? You have to say what
The
works.
goat.
Oh, the goat kills.
The goat works.
Nice.
I love the goat. He has an excellent voice. I feel like if Gilbert Godfrey were still alive, he would be the goat.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And I love the goat, and they should sell it as a plushie, and I would buy it, even though I did not like the movie. What doesn't work?
Wait, the goat was the animated goat is the only thing that works.
I actually really like the animation style.
Okay, go on.
And
I'll give you those two things, yeah.
I liked the beginning, and then it got worse because it doesn't really make sense. Like throughout the story, she's supposed to be like, they're all thinking like, oh, you're so selfless, you're so this, you're so that. Her whole mission is actually selfish because she's just trying to help her family and herself. And I'm really confused. Chris Pine did really well.
Chris Pine sang in this movie.
Yeah.
He's
Like
good.
a lot.
He's a good
I didn't
singer.
know he could sing, and I was like, oh, that is pleasantly amazing.
He was a good villain, but I think the story didn't give him a lot to do. Like, he was a villain because he wanted to keep his people safe, but then towards the end, that didn't really make sense. And her wanting to do anything, it didn't really make sense. And they were just trying to give you a Disney 100 film, and they put cameos in it, especially at the end, and it was really bad.
At the end, just in case
It's
wasn't
just fan service at the
in
end.
case it wasn't heavy-handed enough. Like, hey, wink, wink, that's who these guys are supposed to be. Literally the last 5 minutes in a row, every Disney character you know of, like Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, we shouldn't spoil it, that gets solved. Where the fairy godmothers come, that gets solved. All these...
Peter Pan. Like, they're just pulling things out of their
Peter
hat.
Pan and Wendy. Here's a note.
Okay.
Peter is our local postman. Here's Wendy. She wants to mail something. They are hitting you in the face with a mallet going, hey, dummy, do you remember 100 years of movies? But you kind of, like, when you're watching it, it's almost like every scene is alluding to something else. Like, hey, remember this? Remember these? Remember that? And you go, wait, was that supposed to be Dumbo? Like, what is that? And at the end, it's like...
It just doesn't really come to an ending.
No, the ending is just like, oh, well, so we're leaving, bye. And the music is, other than Chris Pine's song.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it's poorly done.
And I think at the beginning they were onto something and then they lost it. Like, they just dropped it. They were like, who cares anymore? Let me just give you this thing with Peter Pan on
It's
it.
so poorly done. The execution is so poor on that.
Right. I think it could have been good.
Well, how about this? What does it work about Trolls 3 Electric Boogaloo? Or whatever
Everything.
it's called.
Everything works.
Band together.
Band together. I, unfortunately, and neither did my father, watch the second one.
No.
But because it was over COVID and
We were able to pick up,
released
though,
on Netflix. But the first one was really good. So we went to see the third one and, we picked up on it. It's fine. But I thought that movie was great. I think it had a good villain thing going on. You really did not like the villain. They did a good job of explaining that thing. And I think it was good.
I did not know. I know of the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, but I didn't know.
There are so many boy band references.
But see, I didn't know. That was what was funny. But they reference Boys to Men. Like, they're not in it. I don't think they're in it. But there's a chain where they're
just saying the names.
They're breaking
of these
the
bands.
fourth wall by putting it all in one word. Like, hey, when we became Boys to Men, we did, like this long thing. And it's
now we're going to go back to the back streets or whatever.
Yeah. But
So
now we're going to get
good.
in sync and all that. But what I didn't understand is the Backstreet Boys apparently are in this movie, and so is In Sync. But I don't know which one is which, so I was so I didn't get it till the end. And I was like, "Oh, Justin Timberlake was in that movie." I forgot that he's like the main
Yeah, I
star.
was gonna say he's the main boy.
I got it backwards because I thought he was in the Backstreet Boy. Or wait, which one was he?
Wow.
In? He was in
NSYNC.
In Sync.
Yeah.
So I got it backwards, and I was so confused as to like, oh, I'm glad the Backstreet Boys at least are getting work, whoever they are.
Well, so we've got to wrap it up.
Okay.
So I want to make sure we get to it. Here's a question I was thinking about. Is there a movie that you absolutely love, she's not seen yet, and maybe after this conversation, now you're like, oh, I need to make sure she sees this?
So we actually, before we came over here, we were talking about Christmas movies and that. And I said we were making a list of Christmas movies to watch, like to make that like a tradition.
Nice.
The Charlie Brown
Yep.
Christmas and
Christmas Vacation,
the Muppet Christmas Carol,
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3. That is a Christmas movie. And I said Scrooged. And she said,
Nice. Interesting.
I don't know that. And I was like, wow.
That's, yeah.
I think I have seen it. I just
think
don't
you might
remember.
have watched it when you're like 5
There's
or
only
6.
so many movies that can float around in my head. Okay.
Right.
Like,
But what I love about that movie is Bill Murray is at his best.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's him playing with, you have serious actors around him, and it's him almost playing to them.
Yep.
Because he's different each person he's with. And it's almost like you could tell they filmed that at separate points, but there in this timeline, you could see where it was going. That's one of my favorites of all time. And I know I know people say, oh, I've watched it or whatever. Like, I never watched Home Alone. Like,
You've not
It's
seen
not
I've never seen
all
any
that
of
is
those.
cracked up to be, I don't think.
I used to have a rule that if a kid was
We're ending this show now.
Wait. I
I've
still
seen
have
it.
had this rule. You know this rule.
I watch
If
Home
a
Alone
kid
every year.
is the main star of the movie, now this is before I had kids. Once I had a kid, I felt even more so. I want that kid to be in peril the entire movie. I can't stand when children
my
actors are the
gosh.
star of anything.
But
So-
you'll watch Muppet Christmas.
Completely different because Muppet Christmas is awesome. And Michael
I
Caine.
agree, it is, but so is Home Alone.
I'm not saying
I'm
it's
gonna
not.
stand
I
my
haven't
ground there.
seen it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying I never saw it. And then I couldn't believe that they made another one where they forgot him again. And I'm just thinking, these are poor parents.
Agreed, but at least it kind of makes sense for the second one. Whereas
Are there 3 of them?
They're the 2 main ones with
Okay.
Macaulay Culkin. The third one was made years later.
Was that the
with a
Netflix one?
different? No. It
Oh.
was made years later with a different actor. Not. I mean, I.
But it's not
barely remember
connected.
it. No, it's
Okay.
just the main 2.
Oh, I think I've seen the poster for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a heavier set kid on the post. Is that
I
what?
don't remember. I don't even know. We'd have to look up.
It must
but
have been really good.
Anyway, thanks for watching this week's episode. We'll be with you next week.